Is the young leader of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, making his state a nuclear weapons hub?
The Turks are here, the Qataris are here, all of them are coming back. And the military bases that you see here is telling you that if you don't behave, we are going to use force. Sometimes I wish, and I'm saying this seriously, that we too had a nuclear weapon, because that is what Europe and America understands.
The reason we went for nuclear plants.
Burkina Faso is undergoing significant changes, with everything from the military to the economy completely transformed. Yet, nuclear weapons were the last thing anyone expected, especially the West. But why does the West come up so often when discussing Burkina Faso's military strategies? The West is the most alarmed by these developments, and they are likely already plotting to place obstacles in Burkina Faso's path, making it difficult for the country to alter Africa's global standing. But the real question is, can they stop Traoré? Let's find out. The Western world, long accustomed to being the unchallenged gatekeepers of advanced technology and nuclear power, is now fighting with a development that threatens to upend this status quo. Burkina Faso, a nation that many in the West likely cannot even locate on a map without assistance, is boldly stepping into the nuclear age. Under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso has established the Burkina Atomic Energy Agency, BAAE, a move that has sent ripples of unease through the corridors of power in Western capitals. What is particularly remarkable about this development is not just the audacity of Burkina Faso to venture into nuclear energy, but the timing and broader implications of this move. In a world where control over nuclear technology has often been equated with global influence, Burkina Faso's pursuit of atomic energy represents a seismic shift. It's not merely a step towards energy independence, it's a statement of intent, a declaration that Burkina Faso, and indeed Africa, is no longer willing to be confined to the sidelines of technological advancement and global influence. But why now? Burkina Faso's decision to establish the Burkina Atomic Energy Agency BAAE at this particular moment is a calculated and strategic move, one that cannot be understood without considering the broader geopolitical context. The world is currently in a state of flux, with old alliances weakening and new powers emerging. The West, once the unchallenged ruler of the global order, is now facing multiple challenges, from internal political divisions to the rise of China and Russia as formidable global players. In such conditions, the traditional power dynamics are shifting, creating opportunities for nations that have long been marginalized to assert themselves on the global stage. For Burkina Faso, this is a moment ripe with possibility. President Ibrahim Traoré, a leader with a keen understanding of both history and realpolitik, has recognized that the time is right for Burkina Faso to take bold steps towards securing its future. The establishment of the BAAE is not just about generating electricity, it's about Burkina Faso taking control of its destiny. By pursuing nuclear energy, Burkina Faso is signaling that it intends to be a player in the global arena, not just a spectator. The timing of this move is also deeply connected to the continent's broader push for self-reliance and technological advancement. Africa, once seen as a land of endless potential but little progress, is now rapidly developing. Nations across the continent are embracing new technologies, expanding their economies, and seeking to reduce their reliance on foreign aid and intervention. In this context, Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions are not an outlier, they are part of a broader trend toward African empowerment. However, it is important to note that Burkina Faso's move towards nuclear energy is not just about catching up with the rest of the world. It's about setting a new standard for what African nations can achieve. By establishing the BAAE, Burkina Faso is challenging the narrative that advanced technology and nuclear power are the exclusive domains of the West and a few other privileged nations. This is a message that is likely to resonate across the continent, inspiring other African nations to pursue their paths to technological and economic independence. But the question remains, is Burkina Faso's nuclear ambition purely about energy independence, or is there a deeper strategic goal at play? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. To many observers, Burkina Faso's pursuit of nuclear energy may seem like a straightforward attempt to address the country's energy deficit. After all, less than a quarter of Burkina Faso's population has reliable access to electricity, and the country's economy has long been hampered by power shortages. Nuclear energy, with its potential to provide a stable and sustainable power source, appears to be an ideal solution to these problems. But to view Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions purely through the lens of energy needs would be to miss the broader strategic implications of this move. The establishment of the Burkina Atomic Energy Agency (BAAE) represents more than just a commitment to improving access to electricity. It is a statement of Burkina Faso's intent to assert its sovereignty and technological independence in a world where such attributes have traditionally been monopolized by the West and a few other nations. In this sense, the BAAE is not just an energy agency, it is a symbol of Burkina Faso's determination to chart its course, free from the constraints imposed by former colonial powers and global institutions that have long dictated the terms of development for African nations. Moreover, the pursuit of nuclear energy is inherently tied to questions of national security and geopolitical influence. While Burkina Faso has stated that its nuclear ambitions are purely for peaceful purposes, the mere fact that an African nation is pursuing nuclear technology is enough to raise alarm bells in Western capitals. This is not because Burkina Faso poses any real threat, but because the West has long operated under the assumption that advanced technology, particularly nuclear technology, should remain under its control. The fear, whether articulated or not, is that Burkina Faso's move could set a precedent for other African nations to follow suit. If Burkina Faso, a country with limited resources and a relatively small economy, can pursue nuclear energy, what's to stop other African nations from doing the same? And if Africa as a continent begins to develop its nuclear capabilities, what does this mean for the global balance of power? For Burkina Faso, the potential benefits of nuclear energy go beyond simply meeting domestic energy needs. By becoming a leader in nuclear technology, Burkina Faso can position itself as a regional power, with the ability to influence not just energy policy, but broader geopolitical dynamics in West Africa and beyond. This is a prospect that is likely to unsettle the West, which has long been accustomed to dictating the terms of global power and influence. However, for Burkina Faso, the pursuit of nuclear energy is not just about challenging the West. It is about creating a new model for African development, one that is based on self-reliance, technological innovation, and a commitment to sovereignty. By establishing the BAAE, Burkina Faso is sending a message to the world that it is ready to take its place among the technologically advanced nations of the world, and that it is not afraid to challenge the status quo to do so. The potential implications of Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions are profound, both for the country itself and for the broader global order. But what are the risks involved in pursuing such a bold path? Is Burkina Faso prepared for the challenges that come with nuclear energy, and how might the West respond to this challenge to its dominance? The path to developing nuclear energy cannot be undertaken lightly, particularly for a nation like Burkina Faso, which is venturing into this territory for the first time. The challenges are numerous and multifaceted, ranging from technical and financial hurdles to regulatory and geopolitical concerns. However, the potential rewards are equally significant, offering Burkina Faso a chance to transform its economy and secure its energy future. One of the most pressing challenges Burkina Faso faces is the need for technical expertise. Developing and operating a nuclear power plant requires a level of specialized knowledge that is currently in short supply in Burkina Faso. While the country has made strides in education and training, the kind of expertise required to manage a nuclear program is not something that can be developed overnight. To address this, Burkina Faso will need to form strategic partnerships with countries that have experience in nuclear technology, such as Russia, China, or even South Korea. These partnerships will be crucial in providing the technical assistance and training needed to ensure that Burkina Faso's nuclear program is both safe and effective. Another significant challenge is the establishment of a regulatory framework that meets international standards. Nuclear energy is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the world, and for good reason. The potential risks associated with nuclear energy, from reactor accidents to the disposal of nuclear waste, are significant and must be managed with the utmost care. Burkina Faso will need to establish a robust regulatory body that can oversee the development and operation of its nuclear power plant, ensuring that all safety and security protocols are strictly adhered to. This will require not just technical expertise, but also political will, as the government must be prepared to enforce these regulations rigorously. Beyond these technical and financial challenges, Burkina Faso must also navigate the geopolitical landscape that comes with pursuing nuclear energy. The West, particularly the United States and Europe, has a vested interest in maintaining control over the global nuclear order. Any move by an African nation to develop nuclear technology is likely to be met with suspicion and resistance, even if that nation's intentions are purely peaceful. Burkina Faso will need to be prepared for diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, and other forms of interference from the West as it moves forward with its nuclear program. Despite these challenges, the potential rewards of developing nuclear energy are significant. For Burkina Faso, the most immediate benefit is the potential to provide a stable and reliable source of electricity to its population. This, in turn, could spur industrial growth, attract foreign investment, and improve the overall standard of living in the country. Beyond the economic benefits, however, there is also the potential for Burkina Faso to position itself as a leader in the region, using its nuclear expertise to influence energy policy and security dynamics in West Africa. Moreover, by pursuing nuclear energy, Burkina Faso is setting an example for other African nations. It is showing that Africa is not just a consumer of technology, but a producer, capable of developing and mastering some of the most advanced technologies in the world. This could inspire other African nations to pursue their technological ambitions, leading to a new era of innovation and self-reliance on the continent. The challenges of pursuing nuclear energy are substantial, but so too are the potential rewards. As Burkina Faso navigates this path, the response from the West will be critical in shaping the outcome. But how is the West likely to react to Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions? And what does this mean for the future of global power dynamics? The West's reaction to Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions is likely to be one of concern, skepticism, and, ultimately, attempts at containment. For decades, the West has maintained its dominance over global affairs through its control of advanced technology, particularly nuclear technology. The idea that an African nation could break this monopoly is deeply unsettling to Western powers, and their response is likely to be a combination of diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, and covert actions designed to undermine Burkina Faso's efforts. Diplomatically, the West is likely to attempt to dissuade Burkina Faso from pursuing its nuclear ambitions through a combination of incentives and threats. Offers of aid, investment, and technical assistance may be made, but these will come with strings attached. Strings designed to keep Burkina Faso's nuclear program under Western control. At the same time, Western nations will likely push for increased scrutiny of Burkina Faso's nuclear activities by international bodies such as the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) to limit the country's ability to develop nuclear technology independently. However, President Traoré is unlikely to be swayed by such tactics. His administration has already demonstrated a willingness to stand up to Western pressure, and the pursuit of nuclear energy is likely to be no different. The more the West pushes back, the more determined Burkina Faso may become to see its nuclear ambitions realized. Traoré's vision for Burkina Faso is one of self-reliance and sovereignty, and he is unlikely to allow Western interference to derail that vision. Covertly, the West may also seek to undermine Burkina Faso's nuclear program through more underhanded means. This could include attempts to disrupt the supply of materials and technology needed for the program, or efforts to sow internal dissent within Burkina Faso itself. Such tactics have been used in the past to prevent other nations from developing nuclear capabilities, and there is no reason to believe that Burkina Faso will be treated any differently. However, these efforts are likely to backfire, only further solidifying the resolve of Traoré's administration and its commitment to pursuing nuclear energy. The West's reaction to Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions will reveal much about the true nature of global power dynamics. For too long, the world has operated under the assumption that advanced technology, particularly nuclear technology, is the exclusive domain of the West and a select few other nations. Burkina Faso's move challenges this assumption, and the West's reaction will either reinforce or dismantle the existing global order. If the West chooses to engage with Burkina Faso constructively, offering genuine assistance and support without strings attached, it could pave the way for a new era of cooperation between Africa and the rest of the world. However, if the West responds with hostility and attempts to undermine Burkina Faso's efforts, it will only serve to deepen the divide between Africa and the West, further alienating a continent that is increasingly asserting its independence and sovereignty. Well, now let's talk about what experts are saying about this situation. They are hinting that maybe this is also Burkina Faso's step toward making nuclear weapons. The mere suggestion that Burkina Faso might be pursuing nuclear weapons sends shivers down the spines of Western policymakers. The idea that an African nation, particularly one that has been historically marginalized, could develop such powerful deterrence is almost unthinkable to those who have grown accustomed to the global power structure as it currently exists. But let's take a step back and consider the possibility. Could Burkina Faso's nuclear energy ambitions be a precursor to developing nuclear weapons? And if so, what would that mean for Africa and the world? Firstly, it's essential to acknowledge that Burkina Faso, like any sovereign nation, has the right to pursue whatever means it deems necessary to protect its interests. In a world where nuclear weapons are seen as the ultimate guarantee of national security, it's not entirely far-fetched to consider that Burkina Faso might be exploring this option. The country's establishment of the Burkina Atomic Energy Agency (BAAE) could, in theory, be the first step towards acquiring the technical expertise and infrastructure needed to develop nuclear weapons. The pursuit of nuclear weapons by Burkina Faso would be a game-changer, not just for the country, but for the entire African continent. Historically, Africa has been a nuclear-free zone, with the Treaty of Pelindaba, signed by 52 African states, establishing the continent as a nuclear weapon-free zone (NWFZ). This treaty reflects Africa's commitment to promoting peace and stability in the region. However, the global landscape is shifting, and the traditional power dynamics are being challenged. In such a context, Burkina Faso might see nuclear weapons as a necessary means of ensuring its sovereignty and protecting its national interests. If Burkina Faso were to pursue nuclear weapons, the implications would be profound. On the one hand, it could serve as a powerful deterrent against external aggression. The possession of nuclear weapons would make Burkina Faso virtually untouchable, as any attack on the country would carry the risk of a devastating nuclear retaliation. This could lead to greater stability in the region, as neighboring countries and external powers would be forced to think twice before attempting to interfere in Burkina Faso's affairs. The question of whether Burkina Faso is genuinely pursuing nuclear weapons or merely seeking to develop nuclear energy for peaceful purposes is difficult to answer definitively. However, the West's suspicion of Burkina Faso's intentions is indicative of a broader fear. The fear that Africa might finally be breaking free from the constraints imposed by former colonial powers and asserting its place on the global stage. It's worth considering the strategic logic behind Burkina Faso's potential pursuit of nuclear weapons. In a world where the military might often trump diplomatic efforts, nuclear weapons are seen as the ultimate equalizer. For a country like Burkina Faso, which has historically been at the mercy of more powerful nations, the acquisition of nuclear weapons could be seen as a way to level the playing field. It would allow Burkina Faso to negotiate from a position of strength rather than weakness, and ensure that its voice is heard in global affairs. But there is another angle to consider. Burkina Faso's potential pursuit of nuclear weapons could also be a way of challenging the existing global order. The West, which has long maintained its dominance through its control of advanced technology, particularly nuclear technology, would be forced to confront the reality that its monopoly on power is eroding. This could lead to a more multipolar world, where power is more evenly distributed and where African nations have a greater say in global affairs. In the end, whether or not Burkina Faso is genuinely pursuing nuclear weapons remains an open question. However, the mere possibility is enough to shake the foundations of the global power structure. It forces us to reconsider the assumptions that have long underpinned international relations and to acknowledge that Africa is no longer content to play by the rules set by others. Burkina Faso's atomic ambitions, whether they involve nuclear weapons or not, are a clear signal that the global balance of power is shifting and that Africa is ready to take its place on the world stage. Do you think these ambitious plans will make the West rethink how it deals with Africa? Can they opt for a win-win partnership now? Let us know in the comments section. Do you think instead of changing how the West perceives Africa, it will put obstacles in their way? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.